and good morning, Houston, and welcome to the amazing FM 102.5. This is Angelina Hudson coming to you from NAMI Greater Houston, right here in St. John's downtown, and we are excited to bring an exciting show to you today with information about mental health and how mental health and grief can sometimes have some overlap. And then introduce to you a wonderful resource, and I'm going to get straight to it. So glad that you're tuning in here at 11 o'clock show for NAMI Greater Houston's input on mental health in our community. And as you know, we tend to focus on the Black community, but I can tell you that the person that we have here in the studio today is helping a large sector of our population. It does not matter what walk of life you come from, young or old, yellow, black, green, or white. It doesn't matter what religion, what faith group you come from, because everybody knows something about this topic, right? And the topic we're talking about today is grief. And so, as we know, families that are in the journey with mental health and mental illness and recovery, sometimes along the way, we deal with a certain type of grief because we've lost someone. As a matter of fact, many times that we're in our classes and in our support groups, we find that people say that what triggered them, what really set them on this path, this downward spiral where they really needed professional help to get back up, is that they lost someone. They lost someone close to them. And as you know, in the Houston, Harris County, and Fort Bend counties, we are dealing with a spike in suicides among our children who have a lot of grief and they don't know where to put it. So we thought today was just a great time to interject. It's summertime. This is the time when people look to kind of figure out, okay, school is out. Let me figure out where can I get some help. So I'm going to stop talking and allow you to introduce yourself. So Marion, tell us who you are and who do you work for?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today. It's my pleasure to be here. And my name is Marion Makin, and I'm the program director at Bo's Place. We're a nonprofit bereavement center here in Houston, and where we're proud to be celebrating our 35th year.
All right, 35 years. Yeah. So you've been working in the Houston area for 35 years, the organization?
Yes.
You're way too young for that.
Well, it'll be my 21st year this month, so I've been around a long time too.
21 years. All right. So exactly what does Bo's Place offer the community?
Yeah, so we're a nonprofit bereavement center, and so people, we offer grief support groups, but our groups are specific to the death of someone, not other types of losses like divorce or incarceration or things like that. Or missing persons. Yeah, ours are very specific to someone who is grieving the death of someone significant to them.
And that can be hard, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How can Bo's Place inform us? How I see it often in my line of work, but I know just anecdotal stories. What kind of stats or data do we have out there about grief, death and dying, and how people manage to get, because a lot of people think, if it's been a year or 2 years, you should just get over it. But there is no getting, it really transforms you into a new state of yourself.
Absolutely.
When you lose someone very close. Is that right?
Grief is a lifetime journey. It's not a 1 time or 1 month or 1 year. It's if someone is close to you, you're going to miss them the rest of your life. I still wish I could call my grandmother, and she's been gone for a long time, is that when someone has died, if you were close to them, all those times you usually interact with them, you're still feeling that desire to reach out to them. You're still wanting, what would she think about this? What should, why can't dad be there when I graduate and I miss him? All those kind of things. So there's no timeline on grief. Hopefully over time, it becomes less painful than it is at first, but you're still going to have those moments, those waves of grief. And I think the biggest statistic is 100% of us are going to die.
You kind of capture all of us right there.
Exactly.
And all of us are going to know someone.
Yes, and we all have ancestors. There's a line of people who came before us. And so we all are going to experience grief. And one of the shocking things about grief is how grief avoided it is. It's the one experience that all humans will have, but people don't talk about it. People don't know what to say. People feel uncomfortable when it comes up. And also, as a mental health professional, when I was getting my master's in social work, the one class that was offered once a year on grief and bereavement was an elective. And so you can be a mental health professional and never have taken a class on grief and bereavement. And so there's a lot of people who are trained in other ways, but are not trained in grief and bereavement. I'll have people who've been in, providing individual therapy for years, and they'll say, this is one area where I don't feel comfortable because I never did anything.
And then they have to give people really bad news. Or they have to tell them someone didn't make it, or someone's not going to, or you are not going to make it, but never having any training. So let me ask you if you can speak to that, because I know, especially in the Black and brown communities, we have a lot of traditional, it must have been his time.
Yeah.
Or, this too shall pass. There's a lot of colloquialisms, both in the Black and Latino community. And I mean, what do you have to say about, I hear people say, I don't want to leave my house. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to hear those little pat sayings that really make me feel worse.
What people are really saying is, I see that you're in pain and I wish you weren't in pain. And so they're saying things to try to make grief smaller, but grief is going to take up as much space as it takes up. And so being able to say things, he's in a better place now, but I wish he was with me.
Right.
That's where the people that are grieving go to. And so sometimes when communities keep saying things like that, that means that people retreat further because they feel like, I can't talk about this with others because they don't understand. I'm just going to tell everyone I'm fine. And then they end up keeping it inside. But I think it's, our culture here in the U.S. in general. It's so, it's different in each community because grief is also within your culture, within your identity, within your belief system. All those things influence how you grieve. And so it is unique. Any one of us who's ever been to a funeral that was outside of the tradition we grew up in, grief is different.
I know grief is different. My parents my mother is Latina and my father was African American. And so we would go to funerals in East Texas and oh my goodness, they believed to tell the truth at the funeral. And I'm like, oh my God, did he really say that? And so I was and then everyone wore overalls to church. I just thought it was really very different because we grew up in Houston. And then when we went to funerals with, in the Latino community, shrouded from head to toe. There was no big chicken dinner after the funeral. There was no music, no dancing, no clapping like we did in East Texas. And very different kind of respect for the service and even the days after. No parties, no birthdays for a year.
Yeah, wow.
And then Dia de los Muertos, where you actually celebrate the people that you've lost before. And so at least there's a process though for mourning. But I want to say in today's culture, which is kind of more modern than some of those older traditions, people are just trying to feel better and looking for ways to do that. So I want to get into, I want to go back one more step. How you said you were with Bo's Place for 21 years. I want to know, how does this work for you, Marion? The work you do at Bo's Place, what does it do for you?
Yeah, part of what is so amazing is that we're on the side of healing. A lot of times mental health, you're on the side of crisis. In this role, I am seeing people devastated by the death of someone close to them. But over time, it's like you see the light return to someone's eyes as they have that time to connect with others, to see they're not alone, that other people have felt this way, and learn some ways to cope and ways to support their children if it's a family coming. Then you can see them kind of turn towards the life they have now. It's not the same life they had before, but you can, our belief is that you can have a great sadness in your life and still have a happy life.
Oh, wow. Did you hear that? Marion says you can have a great sadness in your life and still have a happy life. I want you to stay tuned, listeners. Stay right there. Don't move the channel. We're going to come back to you with Marion Makin from Bo's Place, and we're talking about grief, healing, and recovery. See you in a few.